far as my exit velo, started the program I think 92.4, ended it at 98. As far as throwing velo, I'm up to about 82, 83 now.
I'm here with one of my favorite players to work with, all the way up in Canada, Luca. So he's going to talk a little bit about some of the gains he made working with me, and like just give some good advice for guys who maybe are trying to make similar gains, kind of give them an insight into what we do in the program and everything, and kind of just go over his experience. But Luca, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself, talk about where you're from, what position you play, and then we'll keep the last one light. Like, tell me what your favorite thing is about Canada.
All right, so my name's Luca. I'm from Ontario, just north of Toronto. I'm a 2026 grad and I play first base in the outfield. Favorite thing about Canada, it's going to sound cliche, but it's got to be the poutine. I can't lie. Poutine's a great invention and I'm glad we invented it. So I
Okay, I
eat that all
gotcha.
the time.
So what is poutine exactly? Is like fries with like the gravy on it, or what? What is poutine?
Yeah, so it's like French fries, and then you got like cheese curds and gravy, and then there's a place near me that makes shawarma poutine. So then they put the shawarma meat with like the hot sauce and the garlic sauce over the poutine, and you can get it like you can get poutine with like ground beef and like all that stuff. Like it's just like it's so versatile. You know what I mean?
Hey, no, I'll have to try it out sometime. Kind of cultures colliding a little bit with the shawarma on there, but no, that's
Yeah,
interesting
right.
for sure. But kind of go into like before we start working together and everything, like kind of tell me a little bit about like what you were working on and like what your goals were as a baseball player.
Okay, so going into this off season, my goals were, like many baseball players, to just like get better and just be the best version of myself that I could be. I knew I wanted to hit 90 miles an hour exit velo, wanted to hit 80 miles an hour throwing velo, and I just wanted to just, keep getting better and keep grinding. And I was on a bit of a program and it just wasn't really working. So then I came across this program and I was like, let me see if I can give it a shot. And we kind of had a chat and we just went through everything that I wanted to kind of fix, right? Get my exit velo up, get my throwing velo up, just keep running and keep, doing things to get stronger and just kind of build more of that baseball strength. And I mean, ever since it's been going great. So those were kind of my goals for this off season, and I honestly feel like I hit every single one.
Nice, man. Yeah, it's not often that you have like a guy who has some big goals for the offseason and they're able to go like knock down those goals. So I think that's good for sure. What would you say were the things you needed to work on in order to reach those goals? You know, each guy is different. Like you have guys who are they're pretty strong already. Maybe they need to get more explosive. You have other guys, they're undersized, they're kind of weak, they need to get stronger. Like what would you say were the biggest things you needed to work on like going into the off season and like working with me and everything?
Well, I was one of those guys that was pretty strong already. Like coming in, like I was deadlifting 405, 500 on a trap bar. I had the kind of strength base, even with my squats, like at 350 and all that kind of other stuff. I just felt like I was like slow moving and I didn't use my body in as much as I could have been. So I knew that coming into the off season, coming into the program, I wanted to train more like an athlete, more like a baseball player, and I just like get rid of this whole like lift heavy shit, like still lift heavy, but also like to be able to do that and be explosive with it so it actually like translates. And what we worked on was, since I already had mostly like a workout schedule and like stuff, set in, so we just kind of built off that and introduced a couple more like baseball specific movements. And I mean, with those, they were kind of awkward at first, which kind of told me, how like much I need to work on it. And I just kept doing it every day, and it just started working out. It started sequencing my body better. I also felt like, since I'm a lefty righty, like I throw on my left, I hit with my right. My right side is kind of just not sequenced properly. And getting on those med balls and getting on everything that we programmed, like for my right side and my left side, just kind of helped me discover what I knew I already had.
Yeah, man, definitely. Like being strong already, that's a huge advantage, but then some guys they're strong already, they're not really seeing the on-field transfer. So that's kind of similar to what you were dealing with and everything. Everybody knows like, oh, I need to lift explosive and different things like that. What would you say was different about what we were doing with like how we approach the med ball work and how we approach the explosiveness stuff too, compared to you just like jumping on an Instagram video or something like that, doing the stuff in the video, like what would you say was different from that, what we did together versus like just standard explosiveness based exercises?
Well, I'm a big like kind of just like research guide, so I already like kind of had a database of stuff, but I find the issue with going on Instagram is like then you have to try it and then you have to figure out if it actually like works for you and if it feels good. But with the stuff that we programmed, it was based on everything that we had talked about, like from my lifts to what I wanted to fix to what I had access to, right? So it kind of just was built around what I needed, and I didn't have to kind of honestly got rid of the guesswork of what should I do, what should I not do, and I kind of just could focus and kind of trust exactly what was programmed, and then just like get at it and let it eat and go from there. I also think what was a lot different too is like being able to have feedback. Something that we talked about when I started the program is that I wanted to have feedback so that I could actually like get improve if I was doing things wrong or if I was, kind of feeling stuck. So, not taking up the guesswork and getting the feedback to keep moving forward was honestly something I think was like super beneficial that I didn't really have access to before.
Nice, man. Yeah, no, that's super good. I always like using the comparison of like, say you've got to study up for some math test or something, and kind of sounds random, but it applies for sure. So you're trying to study up for a math test, like how much easier is it whenever the teacher just gives you a study guide, like, hey, go learn these 10 or 12 problems or whatever, versus like, hey, we have a test over the chapter, go read the chapter, So kind of in the same way, like you having exactly what you needed, and like you didn't have to think about it or try to figure out like, okay, like will this actually help me? I've noticed that
Yeah.
to be pretty beneficial for the guys. So that's kind of what you were saying right there. But as far as the fun part of like working out and everything, like not everybody loves working out, but like the fun part is like the results you get from it. So like what were some of those results that you made? I know you started out around 92 or so with your exit velo whenever you jumped on with me in the middle of your off season there. You're around 77 with your velo, and then you had a little bit of bicep pain as well. So maybe talk a little bit about like the progress you made in those areas, like what you got up to, and then also like what you felt like was most beneficial for helping you get there.
Okay, so as far as my exit velo, started the program I think 92 4, ended it at 98. Um, and I just felt like I wanted and needed the kind of feedback on my swing. And I sent you videos and, I sent in my med ball work and just what do you think that we can change or tweak? This feels good. This doesn't feel good. I feel kind of awkward doing this. And kind of just the drills that we talked about that I should do. I kind of put them in effect and I just trusted that it would eventually kind of unfold. And with that, I felt like I started being able to use my body a lot better. I started feeling whippier and just like able to kind of put more barrels on baseballs to the point that like people were like, the ball's jumping off your bat. And I was like, never, never had that before. Like I'm glad finally, right? It starts to feel good. As far as throwing velo, I'm up to about 82, 83 now. And just I kind of started off a bit slow, and I realized with throwing velo it takes a bit of time, but once I kind of hopped on the long toss and the weather started getting better, up here it's cold a lot of the time, but when it was getting hotter I was able to get out and do more long toss, and that's when I started seeing kind of the gains translate from just plyo balls and indoor throwing to actually like getting my metric up. But and then as far as the biceps pain, for whatever reason, I had a lot of pain. I don't know, on my top hand bicep whenever I was swinging, and it's just something that bugged me a lot. Especially, sucks when you want to work out 5 days a week, but then you can't because you're limited because of an injury. And we just kind of made a plan to kind of get back into action and kind of feel good and be ready to play games. And then at the same time, like just some things to try, little tweaks to kind of fix to kind of mitigate that and prevent it from happening in the future. And I haven't really had the same playing fare up ever since because I think I've just been swinging the right way and there hasn't really been that like that strain.
Yeah, no, that's awesome, man. And like obviously like those are big results, right? Like 92 to 98 exit velo, that's huge. Like that's difference between like maybe double like one hop in the wall hitting a nuke, So that's a big jump for sure. And then same thing with your velo, like going from 77 to like 82, 83, like that's awesome. And that's just a testament of like what working hard with the right stuff will do. Guys could have the best program in the world, but if they're lazy, if they're not willing to get after it, not going to do a whole lot of good for them. So like awesome job as far as like getting in there, like grinding it out, because that's really what it takes. Like that is like your work ethic paying off. So like it was awesome to see that for sure. As far as like what it's actually like inside the program, like do you mind giving the guys just kind of a rundown of like what everything looks like, kind of the cadence and like kind of what you thought of everything and like the structure of how the program went?
Okay, yeah, sure. So every day there's like a calendar, and with that calendar is like your daily workouts. And then we have our chat, which I use like to send videos back and forth. And then even on the workouts, I didn't utilize it too much, but like you could send like videos and just kind of leave comments behind for you to see. I think I just more so did the commenting and sending in our chat, but that was more for like the assessments and stuff that we did every month to just kind of change things up and see how I was progressing. Then there was a little page where like we had like all my drills and stuff like that you picked out for me. And I just kind of worked towards like those and I put them into programming like whenever I did my T routine or whenever I did my hitting routine, I just would work in a couple of those drills before or after. Same thing with throwing and same thing with like the meal plan and stuff like that. I used it a bit, but I had a bit of a background knowledge already on kind of how to meal plan. It was just a good kind of bonus to have in there. But the app was pretty straightforward and super easy to use. Honestly, didn't even need much onboarding. But yeah, I really liked how everything was like structured. And even with like the workout timers and stuff like that, I thought all that was really clear.
Nice, man. No, that's super good. Was some of those exercises where like maybe you hadn't done them in that way before? So like some of the med ball work, for example, or just different things like that, maybe with the arm care or whatever. Like, did you find any confusion like trying to watch the videos and then going and executing and like doing them correctly? Like, how did that go as far as like understanding exactly how to execute each exercise? Because like movement quality is so important.
Well, I actually thought that it was actually like laid out really well because there's the steps underneath the caption of the video, and the videos kind of broke everything down step by step. It did take me obviously a couple of reps just to like kind of hone in and figure out what I was doing, and just eventually it started to become more automatic. But I feel like it wasn't really unclear. Like it was really clear, like the instructions on how I should be performing it. The only thing that would have been like unclear is like if I was doing it properly, but then I just took videos and sent it to you and you told me if it looked good or not. So other than that, I don't really think there was any complications with actually trying to go out and do the med ball stuff.
Nice, man. Yeah, no, that's good for sure. Like new movements always a little bit challenging to do right away, you know. It's like kind of having that laid out for you. Like I'm glad that was helpful for you in that way. And then a good way to get feedback pretty quickly too. Like, hey, here's my video. What did you think of this form on this exercise or whatever? So I think that's good for sure. As far as like how everything went for you in the program, you know, you did really well. Like you grinded it out. You're one of my best guys, one of my favorite guys to work with. What type of player do you feel like would benefit most from something like this? Like, is there a specific type of like attitude, like specific like body type? Like, what do you see as somebody who would benefit from like having this like structured and like more personalized training for them?
I think it all comes down to if you actually like want to get it done or not. Like, I mean, you could have all the resources in the world and still not like be able to achieve like what you want to achieve because you're not willing to actually go out and do it. I feel like I was a bit of an exception to probably most of like the people that you get that don't really know what they're doing. As like I had like a 5 day a week kind of workout split as well as like I was going already and hitting in the cage. So for me, I kind of used the program more for like just the guidance and the feedback to just get me on the right track and just like to kind of put together like the missing pieces, right? But I think like somebody who's like really confused and doesn't know where to go would for sure benefit, or even somebody like me who just needs a little bit extra to kind of just get themselves in the right direction and to kind of have access to somebody who will watch their film and give them like honest feedback. Like all of my videos, there was stuff that you did well and there was stuff that, you could improve on. And I really appreciate that because then kind of eased my mind in some areas and allowed me to focus more on areas that maybe I wasn't like so sure that I actually was, like messing up on or not messing up or not proficient in, right? But I think at the end of the day, it comes down to if you're actually willing and able to do what's laid out there. There were a couple of days where, like I didn't want to go do like my third workout of the day, but like I realized like I had to, you know what I mean? If I wanted to see the improvement, something that I just I had to do. Or at least if I didn't want to do an extra workout, I had to just build it into what I was already doing, which is something that I did a lot. So I think that anybody can really benefit from a program like this. They just actually have to go out and do it.
Yeah, man. Yeah, definitely. Like I agree, like the work ethic, like that's the key part. Like you gotta want it. Like you gotta have like the mindset like you're gonna go work for it. Like that's really important. And then I thought it was a good point as well as far as like, okay, like there's some guys like they don't have any guidance in the weight room at all. You were already doing stuff with your club team as far as like you were doing some strength work, you were doing a little bit of sprints and stuff. So really what I did is just like filled in the gaps. Like, okay, like where are you really solid on? What aspects would take you over the next level and like really make those jumps that you're trying to make. So like that's an approach that we take with guys who like already have some sort of structure, like maybe they're at a mid-major D1 or they're at a NAIA school. Like, yeah, you've got to go do the school lifts, right? But like, what can you do on top of that to like really go reach your goals? And then some of those high school guys, maybe they're not doing anything. Like, and that's more so like building it from scratch. So I think that's a good point for sure. As far as like the online aspect of training and everything, like what would you say to somebody who's like maybe a little bit skeptical rather about like online training and kind of like the benefits you saw from it and like just what leads to good results in the online space for somebody who's like trying to dabble and stuff like that?
Well, I think I used to be really skeptical with online training, but then I realized that just like they're also a person on the other side of the screen and they do want to see like the best for you and they're there to help you, so use them. So I would say something huge for like online training especially is like communication. Like I've had a few online coaches and I just feel like if you actually talk to them, they'll actually help you. But if you're too scared to ask or you're too scared to like reach out, it's not like an in-person session where they can just see what you're doing and oh, you're doing it wrong and you'll get fixed. Like you need to actually send in video and just establish a relationship. And I feel like our relationship was really good. I'd hop on a call once, sometimes twice a week, sometimes once every other week, just depending on how I was feeling and like when I needed something. And your schedule was super flexible too, which is something that helped. But I feel like to make the most out of something like this, you got to have the accountability to do it on your own, but then to also like actually seek help if you need it.
Yeah, man. Yeah, definitely. Like I always say, like, can't read anybody's mind by any means. Like, even if it was an in-person guy right there, like, if you never communicate, like, exactly what you need to work on, like, it's going to be tough to help. So, like, that was definitely a key part that you did really well is like that communication aspect. Um, like, didn't miss workouts, you were consistent, but like, kind of letting me know exactly what you needed. That was super helpful on my end for sure. What would you say to somebody who's like, maybe they're on the fence of doing something like this, on the fence, and he's either considering jumping into my program or continuing to work out on his own or continuing to just do the school lifts or whatever he's got going on. Like, what would you say to that guy? And like, how would you advise them to make the best decision moving forward?
Well, if I was that guy that was kind of on the fence about joining, this program, partially just because obviously I didn't know a whole lot about you. Also, like there obviously is like financial piece, and I'm sure everybody, everybody feels it, right? What kind of did it for me was I just thought about the kind of player I wanted to be when the program was done. Like either I could have just sat back and still kind of struggled and kind of figure it out, like trial by fire type thing. But who knows where I would have ended up and kind of how much better I actually would have been kind of chasing my own tail. So for me, I said, you know what? Yeah, it might be a bit of a sacrifice right now. Like I started picking up some overtime shifts just to kind of make things work. But, you got to do what you have to do to make things work. And at the end of the day, like I'm just a believer of if I do it and I like it, then I get in a great place. If I do it and I don't like it, then, I'm still better than where I started because at least I learned something, right? So, I mean, for somebody who's on the fence about joining your program or about joining a program like this, I would just say, like, you really do get what you pay for. And I mean, you're honestly just holding yourself back if you don't make a decision, So honestly, like sometimes you got to bite the bullet and you got to just close your eyes, say a little prayer, and just trust that things are just going to kind of work out. And as long as you're there to show up, like I knew that I wanted feedback and I knew that I needed somebody who knew what they were doing. And so at the end of the day, I was like, if this, program is going to give me that feedback and is going to help me improve, like why would I not like try it? And at the end of the day, you know what I mean? If I'm not, the like a great athlete, or I don't achieve my goals, like at least I tried, and at least I put in every ounce of effort, and I actually gave it a shot, instead of just, not giving it a shot and quitting, or just kind of sitting back and trying to figure things out on my own and not getting anywhere and feel like I'm going in circles.
Yeah, man, definitely. Like really at the end of the day, like we get one life to live, we get one chance to play baseball. So I like what you said as far as like you can either go for it or you can like deal with the consequences of like maybe not making the jumps that you want, or maybe like spending a lot of time spinning your wheels or chasing your tail, like you said. So no, I think that's a good point for sure. I guess like last piece here, like is there anything else you want to say that you feel like maybe we didn't cover, or something that you want to like put out there, like as far as like just kind of your experience on the program, just advice in general as a ball player. Like, is there anything else you would want to add to what you've said already?
Oh my God, great voice crack. Holy, sorry, my voice is cooked. As far as anything else about the program, I mean, I thought that it was well structured. And I mean, for me, it was kind of just additional support. It wasn't like a kind of like focus, as I know some players might need it as like, this is what they're doing, because my team already had a lot of stuff in place, right? I just felt like for me, I knew that I needed, you know, like actually a plan and guidance to actually hit my target. I knew what I wanted to do, and I was getting there slowly, but I felt like I needed someone to come in and just show me the ropes, and just kind of be there to support me, and be there to give me what I need to get better. And so for me, that's what this program is, and that's what it was. And honestly, I have no complaints, because I mean, I showed up and I did it, and when I needed help, you were there. So, I mean, any further notes just to kind of throw it there? I think that you're a really great guy, and that you always show up for me and probably everybody else on the program. And I appreciate it a lot, whether it was the videos of swinging in your setup, or just like, talking to me when you're on the run and just giving me a quick bit of feedback, even going about mental skills. Like, something I've really worked on is kind of just being, relaxed and kind of fearless, because you play like all tight and tense, you're not going to get the results that you want. Oh my, wow. You're not going to get
No,
the
you're
results
good.
that
I
you
do it all
want.
the time, man. No, you're all good.
No, dude, I've been yelling like for the last 6 days between games, and just like crazy. My voice is like done.
Yeah, no, you're all good.
You should have heard me on Monday. But yeah, just I think that like you're pretty knowledgeable on everything from mental skills to, working out, to actually like, you did it, you played, you went through JUCO, you went through the whole kind of coaching thing. So I think that if you're gonna be the best person that you're gonna be, you gotta actually try, and you need like a good corner of people to help you. So something I really wanted to make sure this offseason is I had a good kind of foundation of support to kind of build off of and learn off of, and a mentor figure to like, learn off. I always call you Coach Jordan, and you're like, why do you call me coach? Well, a coach is somebody I learned from, right? Who's somebody who's there kind of help and guide me. So, that's what you are to me, and I think that's what you are to everybody in the program. So somebody's looking to join, like, you're going to get a coach out of it, and you're going to get somebody who's actually like there to help you and there to see you succeed.
Yeah, man. Yeah, definitely. I appreciate that for sure. I always say like I need to make sure guys are getting better in my program. I need to make sure they're getting results. Otherwise, I got to go get a regular PT job, and I'm not going to get to work with baseball players anymore, because really, man, I'm living the dream. So like I need to make sure guys get good results, both like I obviously like care about each player individually, like that's a huge piece of it. But then also like put simply, like I'm going to be out of business if I don't get guys results, right? So it's awesome that you're able to get those results and everything. Definitely appreciate your time jumping on today to talk a little bit about your experience and everything. So I guess the last little bit right here, if somebody wanted to follow along like with your baseball journey or something like that, like what would your Twitter or X account be, I guess, or like what would your Instagram be if
We're doing a plug. We're doing a
yeah,
plug.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So get some clout going.
Twitter is Luca underscore my last name Giovinazzo, Giovinazzo. I'm Italian. It's very long. And then my Instagram handle is just underscore Luca dot my last name Giovinazzo. So yeah, man, we're just living it and we're just going from here and we'll just see where the wind blows.
Nice, man. Yeah, absolutely. Well, we'll shut it off right here. Super good talking with you. Have a good rest of your day for sure, man.
Yeah, you too, Coach Jordan. Take care.
Yes, sir. Have a good one, man.